Welcome to the Story Lab. I hope you enjoy this story. Let's begin. I adjusted my tie in the mirror, smoothing down my shirt. The Denver skyline stretched out beyond my office window, a reminder of how far I'd come. At 35, I'd built a thriving tech startup from the ground up. But today, my mind wasn't on business. Hey boss, my assistant Jake poked his head in. Your 2 o'clock canceled. Want me to reschedule? No need, I said, grabbing my jacket. I'm heading out early anyway. Hold my calls for the rest of the day. Jake raised an eyebrow. Everything okay, Arnold? I grinned. More than okay. I'm surprising Natalie in Africa. Your wife's on another blogging trip, right? Man, you too have the life. I chuckled, but it felt hollow. Things with Natalie had been off lately, hence the surprise visit. It's not all glamour, trust me. But hopefully, this trip will help us reconnect. As I left the office, my phone buzzed. A text from Natalie. Miss you, babe. Heading out for another adventure. Can't wait to tell you all about it. I smiled, picturing her excitement. That's what I loved about Natalie, her passion for life, her curiosity. It's what drew me to her 5 years ago when we met at a charity gala. She was just starting her travel blog then, wide-eyed and full of dreams. I was impressed by her drive, her fearlessness. We clicked instantly, and within a year, we were married. The cab ride to the airport was a blur of anticipation and nerves. What if she wasn't happy to see me? What if this trip was a mistake? First time in Africa? The driver asked, noticing my fidgeting. No, but first time surprising my wife there, I admitted. He chuckled. Bold move, my friend. Hope it works out for you. Me too, I muttered. At the airport, I caught sight of myself in a reflective surface. Dark hair slightly tousled, blue eyes betraying my mix of excitement and anxiety. I took a deep breath. This was going to work. It had to. The flight was long, giving me plenty of time to second-guess myself. But as we touched down in Nairobi, my resolve strengthened. I'd booked a room at Natalie's hotel, planning to show up at her door with flowers and champagne. The taxi wound through bustling streets, a cacophony of sounds and colors so different from Denver. I checked my watch. It was late afternoon. Natalie should be back from her day's excursion by now. At the hotel, I approached the front desk, heart pounding. Hi, I'm checking in. Arnold Carson. The clerk smiled. Welcome, Mr. Carson. Your wife's been with us for a week now. Lovely woman. I nodded, throat tight. Yes, she is. Could you not mention I'm here? It's a surprise. Of course, sir. Your room is on the same floor as hers. Enjoy your stay. In the elevator, I fiddled with my wedding ring. 5 years. We'd been through so much together, the early struggles of my business, the growth of her blog. But lately, something had shifted. More separate trips, less communication. This surprise was my way of bridging that gap. The elevator dinged, doors sliding open. I stepped out, flowers in hand, rehearsing what I'd say when Natalie opened her door. That's when I heard the laughter. The sound stopped me in my tracks. Deep, masculine laughter, mixed with a familiar giggle I knew all too well. My stomach lurched as I saw them, 3 shirtless men exiting Natalie's room, still buckling their belts. Man, that was something else, one of them said, his accent thick. Another slapped him on the back. She's insatiable, that one. Same time tomorrow? They laughed again, not noticing me frozen in the hallway, flowers hanging limply at my side. As they rounded the corner, I found myself moving towards Natalie's door. It was ajar. I pushed it open, my world tilting on its axis. Natalie lay sprawled on the bed, sheet barely covering her. Her blonde hair was mussed, lips swollen, a satisfied smile playing on her face. Then she saw me. Her eyes widened. Arnold? What are you doing here? I stared at her, unable to form words. The room reeked of sex and sweat. Natalie sat up, clutching the sheet to her chest. I can explain. Explain? I finally found my voice. Explain what, Natalie? How you're fucking random guys while I'm back home, thinking we're happy. She flinched at my tone. It's not what you think. Really? Because I think I just saw 3 men leave this room, laughing about how insatiable you are. Please, Enlighten me on what I'm misunderstanding here. Natalie's face crumpled. I didn't mean for this to happen. It started as research for the blog. There's this trend, you see, of women exploring their sexuality in Africa. I laughed bitterly. Research? That's what you're going with. It's true, she insisted. I read about it online. Women coming here, indulging their fantasies. I thought I could write about it, you know? Give my readers an inside look. And you couldn't have, oh I don't know, interviewed these women instead of becoming one of them? I spat. Natalie's eyes filled with tears. I got carried away. It was exciting, Arnold. The attention, the freedom to cheat on your husband. She reached for me. Please, let's talk about this. I love you, Arnold. This doesn't change that. I stepped back, her words hitting me like physical blows. Doesn't change that? Are you insane? You've been sleeping with who knows how many men, Natalie. How long has this been going on? She looked away. Just this trip. Bullshit, I growled. I want the truth. Now. Natalie's shoulders sagged. A few months. It started in Thailand. The room spun. Months. She'd been lying to me for months. Why? I choked out. I don't know, she whispered. I felt stuck, restless. You were always working and So this is my fault? I interrupted. Because I was busy building a life for us? No, that's not what I meant. I lost myself, Arnold. I forgot who I was outside of being your wife, outside of the blog. I laughed humorlessly. And you found yourself in other men's beds? Natalie flinched. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. We can fix this, can't we? Go to counseling or something? I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I'd loved, trusted, built my life around. Now a stranger. There's nothing to fix, I said coldly. I turned, heading for the door. Arnold, wait. Natalie scrambled off the bed, wrapping the sheet around herself. Where are you going? Away from you, I snapped. Don't follow me. I slammed the door behind me, her sobs echoing in my ears. My mind raced as I strode down the hallway, heart pounding in my chest. The shock was giving way to a burning rage, a need to act. I couldn't stay here, couldn't be in the same building as her for another second. I jabbed the elevator button repeatedly, as if that would make it arrive faster. When the doors finally opened, I nearly collided with a couple stepping out. Whoa, easy there, the man said, steadying me. I muttered an apology, barely registering their concerned looks as I entered the elevator. As soon as the doors closed, I slumped against the wall, the full weight of what had just happened crashing down on me. My wife, my Natalie, the woman I'd loved, trusted, built my life around, had been systematically betraying me for months. The elevator dinged, doors sliding open to reveal the lobby. I straightened, forcing myself to appear composed as I approached the front desk. Mr. Carson, the clerk greeted me with a smile. How can I help you? I leaned in close, lowering my voice. I need to speak with the manager. Now. Something in my tone must have conveyed the urgency, because the clerk's smile faltered. Of course, sir. One moment. As I waited, I pulled out my phone, fingers flying over the screen as I logged into our joint bank account. With a few taps, I froze it. No way was I letting Natalie use my money to fund her adventures anymore. Mr. Carson? A tall man in a crisp suit approached. I'm Mr. Okonkwo, the hotel manager. How can I assist you? I cut straight to the chase. I need the security footage from the hallway outside room 412. The past week. Mr. Okonkwo's brow furrowed. I'm afraid I can't just hand over security footage, sir. There are privacy concerns. I pulled out my wallet, extracting several large bills. I understand completely. Perhaps this will ease those concerns? He hesitated, eyeing the money. I pressed on. Look, I just caught my wife cheating on me. Multiple times, apparently. I need proof for the divorce proceedings. You'd be doing me a huge favor. Mr. Okonkwo's expression softened slightly. I see. That's a difficult situation, Mr. Carson. Still, I can't simply. I added another bill to the stack. Please, I'm begging you. He sighed. then nodded almost imperceptibly. Wait here. 10 minutes later, I had a flash drive in my pocket and was heading for the airport, my hands shaking as I hailed a taxi. Where to, sir? The driver asked. Airport, I said tersely. Fast as you can. As we wove through traffic, I pulled out my phone again, dialing my lawyer back in Denver. Jim? It's Arnold. I need you to start divorce proceedings immediately. No, I'm not joking. I just caught Natalie cheating. Multiple times. Yes, I have proof. I'm heading back now. Meet me at my office first thing tomorrow. I ended the call, ignoring the string of texts coming in from Natalie. Each vibration of my phone stoked the fire of my anger. At the airport, I managed to get on the next flight to Denver, my mind churning the entire time. By the time we landed, I had a plan. I headed straight for my office, knowing I wouldn't be able to face our empty house. As I walked in, Jake looked up in surprise. Arnold? I thought you were in Africa. Change of plans, I said curtly. I need you to do something for me. I handed him the flash drive. Put together a video. Use any footage showing Natalie entertaining her guests. Keep it PG, but make it clear what's happening. Then post it on all her social media accounts. Jake's eyes widened. Arnold, are you sure about this? Once it's out there. I'm sure. I cut him off. She made her choice. Now she can deal with the consequences. As Jake got to work, I sat at my desk, staring at the framed photo of Natalie and me on our wedding day. With a sudden burst of anger, I swept it off the desk, glass shattering on the floor. My phone buzzed again. Natalie. This time, I answered. Arnold, please, she sobbed. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I need help. I can't get home without money. Please. You should have thought of that before you decided to fuck half of Africa, I snarled. That's not fair. It wasn't like that. Please, just listen to me. I cut her off. No, you listen. We're done, Natalie. I'm divorcing you. Don't bother coming home. There's nothing left for you here. I hung up, blocking her number. As I set the phone down, Jake appeared in the doorway. It's done, he said quietly. The video's up. I nodded, a grim satisfaction settling over me. Good. Now go home, Jake. And thanks. He hesitated. Are you gonna be okay, boss? I managed a weak smile. Eventually. Go on. Get out of here. As the door closed behind him, I leaned back in my chair, closing my eyes. The anger was fading now, leaving behind a hollow ache in my chest. I'd loved Natalie with everything I had, and in return, she'd shattered my trust, my heart, my entire world. But I'd be damned if I let her destroy me completely. Opening my eyes, I reached for my laptop. Time to start rebuilding my life without her. The next morning, I woke up on the couch in my office, my back stiff and my head pounding. For a blissful moment, I forgot why I was there. Then it all came crashing back. Jake knocked on the door, poking his head in. Arnold? You're here early. I sat up, rubbing my face. Never left. He frowned, stepping inside. The video. It's everywhere, man. I reached for my phone, bracing myself as I opened social media. Jake wasn't exaggerating. The video had gone viral overnight, shared thousands of times. Comments flooded in, most expressing shock and outrage on my behalf. How's it feel? Jake asked cautiously. I scrolled through the notifications, my stomach churning, like I've made a huge mistake. You want me to take it down? I shook my head. No. She made her choices. Now she deals with the fallout. My phone buzzed, Natalie calling. Again. I declined it, tossing the phone aside. Jake hesitated. Your lawyer's here. Want me to send him in? I nodded, straightening my rumpled shirt as Jake left. A moment later, Jim walked in, looking grave. Arnold, he said, sitting across from me. How are you holding up? Been better, I replied dryly. What's the situation? Jim sighed, opening his briefcase. Legally, you're in hot water. That video could be considered revenge porn. Natalie's family is threatening to sue. I leaned forward. She's the one who cheated. Multiple times. I know, Jim said, holding up a hand. But the law doesn't always align with what's morally right. We need to tread carefully here. Just then, My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Natalie's brother, Jared. Against my better judgment, I answered. You son of a bitch, Jared snarled. Do you have any idea what you've done? I gripped the phone tighter. What I've done? Your sister's the one who. She's been fired. Jared interrupted. Her sponsors are dropping her left and right. Her career is ruined. A wave of guilt washed over me, quickly replaced by anger. Good. She should have thought about that before she decided to fuck around on me. You didn't have to destroy her life, Arnold, Jared said, his voice cracking. She made a mistake. A big one. Yeah, but a mistake? I laughed bitterly. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. She systematically betrayed me for months, Jared. Months. There was a long pause. Then, quietly, she needs help, Arnold. Money to get home. Please. I closed my eyes, pinching the bridge of my nose. Not my problem anymore. Arnold. I hung up, tossing the phone on the desk. Jim watched me carefully. We should discuss our next moves, he said. I nodded, forcing myself to focus. As Jim laid out our options, I tried to ignore the gnawing feeling in my gut. Was I going too far? Or not far enough? 2 days passed in a blur of legal meetings and ignored calls. I threw myself into work, desperate for any distraction from the mess my life had become. I was in the middle of a conference call when my personal line lit up an international number. Frowning, I excused myself and answered. Mr. Carson? A crisp, official voice said. This is Amanda Reeves from the U.S. Embassy in Nairobi. My stomach dropped. Is this about my wife? Ex-wife. I corrected myself quickly. Yes, sir, Amanda replied. Mrs. Carson is here at the embassy. She's requesting assistance to return home. I pinched the bridge of my nose. And what exactly do you want me to do about that? There was a pause. Sir, your wife Mrs. Carson claims you've left her stranded without access to funds or her return ticket. That's correct, I said flatly. Another pause. Mr. Carson, I understand you're going through a difficult situation, but… No, I interrupted. You don't understand. You have no idea what she did, what she's been doing for months. Sir, regardless of personal issues, we cannot simply leave an American citizen stranded in a foreign country. I laughed humorlessly. Watch me. Mr. Carson, please. If you could just speak with her. Fine, I snapped. Put her on. There was a shuffling sound. Then Natalie's voice came through, small and broken. Arnold. Something in my chest tightened. What do you want, Natalie? I'm sorry, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. Please, I just want to come home. You don't have a home here anymore, I said coldly. Arnold, please, she begged. I know I messed up. I'll do anything to make it right. Just, please help me get back. We can talk, figure things out. For a moment, I wavered. Then I remembered the sight of those men leaving her room, her casual admission of betrayal. No, I said firmly. You made your bed, Natalie. Now lie in it. Arnold. I hung up, my hand shaking slightly. Almost immediately, my phone buzzed with a text from Jared. How could you? Ignoring it, I dialed my lawyer. Jim? I need you to call Natalie's parents, her friends, anyone who might help her. Tell them if they send her money, I'll consider it a hostile act and respond accordingly in the divorce proceedings. Arnold, Jim said cautiously, are you sure about this? It's bordering on cruel. She didn't seem to care about cruelty when she was screwing around behind my back. I snapped. Just do it. As I ended the call, Jake appeared in the doorway. Everything okay, boss? I managed a tight smile. Peachy. How's the Miller account coming along? Jake hesitated, then seemed to decide not to push. On track. I'll have the proposal ready by tomorrow. Good, I nodded. That's good. As Jake left, I slumped in my chair, the weight of everything crashing down on me. Was I going too far? Or was this exactly what Natalie deserved? I pushed the thoughts aside, focusing on work. It was all I had left now. A week passed, then 2. I threw myself into work, barely sleeping, eating only when Jake reminded me. The video had been taken down after threats of legal action, but the damage was done. Natalie's career was in shambles, her reputation destroyed, I told myself I didn't care. I almost believed it. Then came the knock on my office door. I looked up to see Jim, my lawyer, looking grim. "What now?" I asked, already dreading the answer. Jim sat heavily in the chair across from me. "Natalie's back in the country." I froze. "How?" "Someone at the embassy took pity on her, apparently. Paid for her ticket home." I cursed under my breath. And she's hired a shark of a lawyer. They're coming after you hard, Arnold. Emotional distress, defamation, you name it. I leaned back, suddenly exhausted. Can they win? Jim sighed. It's complicated. The video was a bad move, legally speaking. And without a prenup, I could lose everything, I finished. Not everything, Jim said quickly. But a significant portion, yes. I stood, pacing the office. Options? We fight it out in court. It'll be ugly, expensive, and there's no guarantee. No, I interrupted. I can't. I can't do that. I can't sit in a courtroom and hash out every detail of our marriage, of her infidelity. Jim nodded sympathetically. Then we try to settle. But Arnold, you need to be prepared. Without a prenup, Natalie's entitled to half of everything. The words hit me like a physical blow. Half of everything I'd built, everything I'd worked for, gone. There has to be another way, I muttered. Just then, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "We need to talk." Natalie. I showed it to Jim, who frowned. "Be careful, Arnold. Don't agree to anything without consulting me first." I nodded, then typed out a reply. "Fine. My office. 1 hour." The next hour crawled by. When Natalie finally walked in, I barely recognized her. Gone was the vibrant, confident woman I'd married. In her place stood someone small, defeated. "Arnold," she said softly. "Natalie," I replied, keeping my voice neutral. "What do you want?" She sat across from me, hands twisting in her lap. "I want to make a deal." I raised an eyebrow. "What kind of deal?" "If you don't divorce me," she said slowly, "I won't take anything from you." I stared at her, stunned. "You can't be serious." "I am," she insisted. "I know I messed up, Arnold. I know I hurt you, but I still love you. We can work through this. Go to counseling." "Stop," I cut her off. "Just stop. You really think I'd stay married to you after what you did? That I'd ever trust you again?" Tears filled her eyes. "I made a mistake. A huge, terrible mistake. But Arnold, 5 years of marriage has to count for something. It counted for nothing to you when you were sleeping around," I snapped. Natalie flinched. "I deserve that. But please, Arnold, think about it. You won't lose half your assets. We can stay married in name only if that's what you want. Just please don't leave me with nothing." For a moment, I wavered. It was tempting, the idea of not losing everything I'd worked for. But as I looked at Natalie, all I could see were those men leaving her hotel room, her casual admission of betrayal. "No," I said firmly. "No deal, Natalie. I want a divorce. I want you out of my life, completely." She crumpled, tears flowing freely now. "Arnold, please. Get out," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "It's over, Natalie. We're over." As she left, sobbing, I slumped in my chair. I just sentenced myself to financial ruin. But for the first time since this nightmare began, I felt something close to peace. I picked up my phone, dialing Jim. "It's me. File the divorce papers. I don't care what it costs me. I want this done." As I hung up, I looked out at the Denver skyline. I'd lost half of everything I'd built, but I'd gained something to my freedom. And right now, that felt worth any price. The gavel's sharp crack echoed through the courtroom, sealing my fate. Half of everything I'd built, gone in an instant. As I walked out of the courthouse, my lawyer, Jim, at my side, I felt a strange mix of loss and relief. "You okay, Arnold?" Jim asked, his voice low. I nodded, squinting in the bright Denver sun. "Yeah, it's over. That's what matters." Jim clapped me on the shoulder. "What's next for you?" I took a deep breath, looking around at the city I'd called home for so long. I think it's time for a change of scenery." 2 weeks later, I stood in my empty apartment, a single suitcase at my feet. My phone buzzed. Jake, my assistant. Hey boss, he said when I answered. You sure about this? I chuckled. Little late to be asking that, Jake. The movers just left. I know. It's just, Denver won't be the same without you. I'll miss it too, I admitted. But I need this. A fresh start. Jake sighed. Where are you heading again? Seattle, I said. Tech scene's booming there. Perfect place to rebuild. And leave the ghosts behind? Jake asked softly. I closed my eyes, memories of Natalie flashing through my mind. Something like that. Well, good luck, Arnold. Keep in touch, yeah? Will do, Jake. And hey, thanks for everything. As I hung up, I took one last look around the apartment. So many memories, good and bad. But it was time to move on. The flight to Seattle was uneventful, giving me time to think. I'd lost so much money, status, trust. But as the plane touched down in my new home, I felt a spark of excitement I hadn't experienced in years. My new apartment was smaller than what I was used to, but it had a view of the Space Needle that made up for it. As I unpacked, my phone rang an unknown number. Hello? Is this Arnold Carson? A woman's voice asked. Speaking. Who's this? Mr. Carson, I'm Sarah from Tech Vision. We received your application and were impressed with your portfolio. Are you free for an interview next week? I grinned, my heart racing. Absolutely. What day works best for you? As I hung up, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. This was it. A new beginning. The next 2 years flew by in a blur of hard work and small victories. I threw myself into my new job, climbing the ranks at Tech Vision with the same determination that had built my previous company. Slowly but surely, I rebuilt my finances, my reputation, my life. And then I met Martha. It was a crisp autumn day, and I was grabbing coffee before work. As I reached for my order, another hand brushed against mine. Oh, sorry, a voice said. I looked up to see a woman with kind eyes and a warm smile. I think that's my latte. I glanced at the cup. Whoops, you're right. Here you go, Martha, she supplied, taking the cup. And you are? Arnold, I said, offering my hand. Nice to meet you, Martha. She shook it, her grip firm. Likewise, Arnold. You come here often? I don't think I've seen you before. I chuckled. Every morning, actually. Guess our schedules haven't aligned until now. Martha smiled. Well, maybe they will more often. See you around, Arnold. As she left, I found myself hoping she was right. Over the next few weeks, our coffee shop encounters became more frequent. We'd chat while waiting for our orders, sharing bits and pieces of our lives. I learned she was a graphic designer, loved hiking, and had a wicked sense of humor. One morning, as we stood outside the coffee shop, Martha turned to me. So, Arnold, when are you going to ask me out? I blinked, caught off guard. What? She grinned. Come on, we've been dancing around this for weeks. Unless I've completely misread the situation? I laughed, feeling a warmth in my chest I hadn't experienced in years. No, you haven't misread anything. It's been a while since I've done this. Martha's expression softened. Bad breakup? I nodded. You could say that. Divorce, actually. Ah, she said. Well, if you're not ready. No, I said quickly. No, I think I am ready. Dinner this Friday? Martha's smile lit up her face. It's a date. As I walked to work that day, I felt lighter than I had in years. For the first time since Natalie, I was looking forward to the future. 2 years after that fateful coffee shop meeting, Martha and I stood in our Seattle apartment, packing for a trip to Denver. You sure you're okay with this? Martha asked, folding a shirt. We can still back out. I zipped up my suitcase, considering. It's just a wedding, and Tom's been my friend for years. It'll be fine. Martha raised an eyebrow. And the fact that your ex-wife might be there doesn't bother you? I sighed, sitting on the bed. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little nervous. But I can't avoid Denver forever. And I want you to meet my old friends. She sat beside me, taking my hand. I'm here for you, Arnold. Whatever happens. I squeezed her hand, grateful for her steady presence. I know. That's why I love you. The wedding was a lavish affair, held in one of Denver's swankiest hotels. As Martha and I mingled during the reception, I felt a tap on my shoulder. Arnold? Holy shit, it is you. I turned to see Tom, the groom, grinning from ear to ear. Tom, congratulations, man. We hugged, slapping each other on the back. Tom pulled away, looking me up and down. You look great, man. Seattle's been good to you, huh? I chuckled. Can't complain. Oh, Tom, this is Martha. Martha, this is Tom, the poor sap who just got hitched. Martha laughed, shaking Tom's hand. Pleasure to meet you, Tom. Beautiful wedding. Thanks, Tom said. Listen, Arnold, I hate to do this, but you should know. Natalie's here. I felt Martha stiffen beside me. I took a deep breath. It's okay, Tom. I figured she might be. Tom nodded, looking relieved. She's well. She's not doing great, man. Lost a lot of money gambling. I think she's working as a waitress now. I frowned. Gambling? That doesn't sound like Natalie. People change, Martha said softly. Just then, I saw her. Natalie, standing by the bar, looking different, thinner, with dark circles under her eyes. Our gazes met, and for a moment, the world seemed to freeze. I should go say hello, I murmured. Martha squeezed my hand. Want me to come with you? I shook my head. No, I think I need to do this alone. I'll be right back. As I approached Natalie, I saw a flicker of something in her eyes. Fear? Shame? I couldn't tell. Arnold, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. You look good. I nodded. Thanks. How are you, Natalie? She laughed, a hollow sound. Oh, living the dream. Turns out, when you blow up your life, it's hard to put the pieces back together. I shifted uncomfortably. I heard. Tom said you've been having some trouble. Natalie's eyes hardened. That's one way to put it. Lost everything gambling. Turns out, the thrill of risking it all doesn't quite compare to, well, I winced. Natalie, don't. She cut me off. Don't pity me, Arnold. I did this to myself. I know that. We stood in awkward silence for a moment. Then Natalie's gaze shifted to something over my shoulder. Is that her? Your new girlfriend? I turned to see Martha watching us from across the room. Yeah, that's Martha. Natalie nodded. She seems nice. You seem happy. I am, I said softly. Natalie's eyes filled with tears. Good. That's good, Arnold. You deserve to be happy. I took a deep breath. So do you, Natalie. It's not too late, to turn things around. She wiped her eyes. Maybe. I don't know if I have it in me anymore. You do, I said firmly. The Natalie I knew was strong, determined. She's still in there somewhere. Natalie looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time. Why are you being so nice to me? After everything I did? I sighed. Because holding on to anger, it doesn't help anyone, least of all me. She nodded slowly. Thank you, Arnold, for everything. I'm so sorry for what I did to you. I know, I said. Take care of yourself, Natalie. I mean it. As I walked back to Martha, I felt a weight I didn't even know I was carrying lift from my shoulders. The past was the past. It was time to focus on the future. The rest of the wedding passed in a blur of champagne and dancing. As Martha and I swayed on the dance floor, I caught sight of Natalie slipping out of the reception hall. You okay? Martha murmured in my ear. I nodded, pulling her closer. Yeah, I think I am. Later that night, as we lay in our hotel room, Martha propped herself up on an elbow. So, want to talk about it? I sighed, staring at the ceiling. It was strange, seeing her like that. Part of me wanted to help her, fix things. Martha nodded. That's who you are, Arnold. You care. It's one of the things I love about you. I turned to look at her. But she smiled softly. But you can't fix everyone. Natalie has to want to help herself. I nodded slowly. I know. It's just seeing her like that. It made me realize how far I've come. How lucky I am. Martha leaned in, kissing me gently. We're both lucky. The next morning, as we packed to head back to Seattle, there was a knock at our door. I opened it to find Natalie standing there, looking nervous. Natalie? I said, surprised. What are you doing here? She fidgeted with the hem of her shirt. I couldn't leave things like that. Can we talk? Just for a minute? I glanced back at Martha, who nodded encouragingly. Sure, I said, stepping into the hallway. What's up? Natalie took a deep breath. I wanted to apologize. Again. Properly this time. What I did to you. It was unforgivable. I know that. I leaned against the wall, studying her. Why did you do it, Natalie? Really? She laughed bitterly. God, I ask myself that every day. I was restless, I guess. Bored. I thought I needed more excitement in my life. Turns out, I had everything I needed. I was just too stupid to see it. I nodded slowly. We both made mistakes, Natalie. I wasn't perfect either. I got caught up in work, forgot to nurture our relationship. Natalie shook her head. Don't do that, Arnold. Don't take on blame that isn't yours. This was me. All me. We stood in silence for a moment. Then Natalie spoke again, her voice soft. Can you ever forgive me? I took a deep breath, considering my words carefully. Natalie, I think I already have. Not for your sake, but for mine. Holding on to that anger, that hurt, it was poisoning me. I had to let it go to move on. Tears spilled down Natalie's cheeks. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I shrugged. Maybe not, but you have it anyway. Use it. Build a better life for yourself. That's all I want for you now. Natalie nodded, wiping her eyes. Thank you, Arnold, for everything. I hope you're happy. Really happy. I smiled, thinking of Martha waiting in our room. I am. I really am. As Natalie turned to leave, I called out, Hey, Natalie? She looked back. Yeah. Take care of yourself, okay? I mean it. She managed a small smile. I will. Goodbye, Arnold. I watched her walk away, feeling a sense of closure I hadn't realized I needed. When I went back into the room, Martha was waiting, a question in her eyes. Everything okay? She asked. I nodded, pulling her into a hug. Yeah, everything's perfect. As we left Denver that afternoon, heading back to our life in Seattle, I felt lighter than I had in years. The past was behind me, dealt with and put to rest. The future stretched out before us, full of possibilities. I looked at Martha, who was flipping through a magazine, and felt a surge of love and gratitude. We'd built something real, something honest, something I never thought I'd have again after Natalie. Hey, I said, taking her hand. I love you. You know that, right? Martha smiled, squeezing my hand. I know. I love you too. As the plane took off, carrying us back to our life together, I closed my eyes, finally at peace. The long road to freedom had been hard, full of twists and turns I never expected. But here, at the end of it all, I was exactly where I was meant to be. Free, happy, loved, and ready for whatever came next. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your precious time. If you enjoyed this story, then please make sure you subscribe to this channel. That would help me a lot. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.